Welcome back to BYU Sports Nation. We are live in Allegiant Stadium, day 2 of Big 12 Football Media Days, alongside former NFL and BYU wide receiver Austin Collie. I am Spencer Linton. It is our privilege to welcome in the head coach of West Virginia. Neal Brown is back on BYUSN. And Coach, one, it's great to have you with us, but we have been plugging what you did as a team last year in hopes that BYU can discover some of that magic. I can't believe you were picked to finish last year, but you proved the doubters wrong. And, again, now it's like, well, what can Kalani Sitake and BYU do? So how did you use that chip on the shoulder to pull off what you did last year?
Well, first of all, Kalani knows what he's doing. You know, he's not only a quality individual and a great person, but a great football coach. And he's done this before. You know, I think that's the Kalani and I were just catching up kind of behind, waiting on kind of the next event that each of us had, and I saw the players, and you can tell they've got energy and they're ready to prove people wrong too. You know, and I think people lose track when you make that jump. When you come and it's every single week, it's just different. And they had injuries, and they had injuries at a really important position at quarterback. But I have no doubt that Kalani will get that thing going, and they've got a good football team, and I think they're going to really surprise some people. For us, a year ago, I came here. And I knew we had a quality quarterback. Everybody else just didn't know because he hadn't played a whole lot.
Not to mention an amazing offensive line.
Yeah, but I already knew that. Our O-line and our D-line were proven. And to me, when you're looking at what is successful in college football, well, successful college football teams, the best college football teams, are really good up front, and they have difference makers at the skill position. And I knew we were going to be really good up front, and I knew we had a difference maker at quarterback, and I just felt like people just did not do their homework. And honestly, I come here and we're picked 7th, and if you look at it, we return at quarterback maybe one of the most dynamic players in all of college football. We've got a 1-2 punch at running back that I don't think anybody else in our league has.
Yeah, I was going to say.
We lose one significant starter, lose 2 starters, but obviously a second-round pick at center. But we also have one of the top offensive linemen in the conference, if not the top offensive lineman in Wyatt Milam, who's here. We got a tight end they caught in the upper 30s, you know, and our receiver, we played all freshmen last year, so they're going to make a big jump. So I think we have an opportunity to have one of the best offenses in the country. Defensively, our D-line and our linebackers are really good, and we got to fix our secondary, which we tried to do through the transfer portal. So, and we returned everybody on special teams. So, you know, we're sitting here, we're picked 7th, and I'm like, well, that's better than a year ago, but you know, I don't really understand. We won 9 games, won a bowl game convincingly. I still think that we're being undervalued, and some of our players, more importantly, are being undervalued.
Every time we look at the Big 12 conference, it seems like it's a new conference, right? I mean, with the addition of these new
the last 2 years, quite literally.
Seriously, what
maybe next year again too, right? Yeah, listen,
the way things are going.
What are your thoughts on some of the new additions to the Big 12?
Well, they're great for BYU. You know, like little further traveling for West Virginia, but no, I think that if you look at our league, first of all, I think Commissioner Yormark and the presidents and chancellors of the universities in the Big 12 have to be given credit, because we have firmly established ourselves as one of the top 3 leagues in all of college athletics now, and that wasn't the case as short as 18 months ago probably. And now we're a league that goes across 4 time zones. We're a league that from 1 to 16 in football, I would strongly argue that we're the most competitive league in all of the P4 conferences. So it's a strong league, you know, and the 4 teams that we've added are quality football. You look what Arizona did last year, convincing win over Oklahoma. If you look at Utah and the consistency they've had under Kyle there at Utah, in Colorado with Dion and everything that goes with that, I think that Coach Prime is done a great job in the transfer portal. And then Arizona State has a ton of tradition. So all 4 of those new teams or programs that come into our league, they make sense, and they've made a really good league even better.
Yeah, if you haven't played football before, you may not realize the impact that travel does have on a team. Are there anything that you're doing this offseason, does that change the way that you prepare for the season at all?
Well, I think you just put a lot more time and thought into travel. Like Kalani and I were back there trading ideas on making cross-country trips.
Yeah.
You know, and he's had to do it, obviously, and we're having to do it as well, and just trading ideas. But it does. You know, sleep is so important.
Yeah.
you know this as a high-functioning athlete. Sleep is so important, and routine is so important. And so how do you get sleep and how do you stay in a routine while you're traveling and you're on flights that are 4.5, 5 hours?
Yeah.
Oh, tough stuff. Neal Brown, West Virginia head coach, is on BYU Sports Nation. You mentioned the dynamic playmaker you have at quarterback. Garrett Greene is a special athlete. Where have you seen him progress specifically this offseason?
Well, he played really well as his first year as a starting quarterback. Was through the deep ball great. I think he's an exceptional runner. The next step for him is, and the way I talked to him about this is, all right, you're going to be an NFL player. He's athletic enough. He's going to be an NFL player. What you do, and I talked to him in January about this, and I repeatedly talked to him, what you do over this year is going to determine if you're going to be an NFL quarterback or not. And so the thing for him is passing efficiency. And his efficiency, his completion percentage, you got to go up. He's got to be better on third down, medium and long, and he's got to be better in the red zone, tight areas. And he's worked extremely hard. I have full faith that he's going to be better. And if he can do that, if he can be more efficient passing the football, then we got a chance to take an offense that was top 25-ish and maybe be elite.
One of my former teammates, good buddy, Pat McAfee, former Mountaineer. Is he pulling his weight on the
You're never a former Mountaineer, right?
You're always a Mountaineer.
Hey, once a Mountaineer, always a Mountaineer. Yeah,
I like that. Is he pulling his weight on the recruiting trail?
So
or do
Pat,
you need to kind of kick him in the butt.
So, is there anybody that's living a better life right now than Pat McAfee? First of all, I mean, like,
not a single person.
Hey, kudos to him.
He's winning on every level.
He is winning, and he's winning at an extremely high level. And I'm happy for him. I'm happy for him. So he came back, and he was one of our honorary coaches for our spring game and did tremendous. Yeah, he did tremendous. It was awesome.
He's a high football IQ guy. Like, not many people realize, but he is a high football IQ guy, an unbelievable athlete, right? Like,
but extremely intelligent.
Yeah.
Okay, and I think that's something that doesn't get talked about enough. Marketing genius.
Yeah.
You think about the depth that they have on that show, like the different amount of different sports and different entertainers, and it all flows together. And you only do that if you're really, really intelligent. And he's really intelligent. He's got a great mind for football. He is as popular as anybody that's ever put on, that's ever put on a WV. He really is right now. Yeah. And so he's a huge ambassador for our program without a doubt.
Now, Coach, you talked about this a little bit last year, but I want to revisit it because it's cool, the ties you have in unique ways to BYU, specifically through Mike Leach. You were an all-state wide receiver. Hey, Boyle County High School shout-out, right?
Yeah, there you go. Appreciate it.
Let's go.
UMass Kentucky wideout.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Come on. Okay, at Kentucky, you played under head coach Hal Mummy. Mike Leach was an assistant there. Obviously, Mike Leach is a name that's near and dear to BYU fans' hearts because of the time that he spent there as a student. And Lavelle Edwards kind of made him want to become, made him want to become a football coach. So as you look back on your time with Coach Leach and Coach Mummy, how has that influenced what you are doing right now at West Virginia?
Well, I think so. I was very fortunate as a player at the University of Kentucky. On that offensive staff, Hal Mummy was the head coach. Chris Hatcher, who's the head coach at Samford, was the quarterback coach. Mike Leach was my receiver coach my first year. Tony Franklin, who I think is a tremendous offensive mind, really kind of my mentor in coaching, was coaching running backs. Guy Morris was the offensive line coach, former head coach at Kentucky and at Baylor. So just really, and Sonny Dykes was a GA on that staff. And so
that's an unbelievable staff.
Yeah, unbelievable. And for somebody that got into coaching and was, in offensive, that's where I kind of really cut my teeth, was on the offensive side of the ball. Man, I couldn't have fell into a better situation. And I kind of knew it when it was going on, right? We were doing things offensively that other people weren't doing. The one thing that I always thought was neat is Coach Leach and Coach Mummy both always, when the air raid started coming, and it's really, I mean, you think about it, I'm aging myself here, but we're talking about 97, 98, 99, and here we are. Like, I just did an interview with ESPN about the air raid, right? And I mean, that's like, there's some longevity there, right?
Yeah.
They always go back and credit Lavelle Edwards. And if you watch some of the base pass concepts of the air raid, the mesh, the Y cross, you can go back and watch BYU quarterbacks running and throwing those plays. And you watch BYU offenses running those plays, BYU quarterbacks throwing that. So I thought that was always really, they always humble themselves and said, no, I didn't, this came from LaVell Edwards, which I think speaks a lot to those guys as well.
That's awesome.
Coach, great stuff. Fantastic insight. Always nice to talk with you. And can't wait to watch West Virginia. Not probably. We believe you're going to prove the doubters wrong again.
Well, I appreciate it, and I appreciate y'all having me on. Y'all do a tremendous job. And I know the BYU fans are lucky to have you guys, and y'all do a really good job of production and what you do for the program there. And we don't play BYU this year, which I'm glad, because I really believe they're going to have a good bounce-back year.
Let's go.
We
Coach, thank you
Coach.
so much.
Thanks for
thank
stopping
you.
by.